Look at the teams. Enzo Maresca makes two changes from the side that started and very quickly had to be reconfigured at Old Trafford 7 days ago. Robert Sanchez served his suspension for his red card in that game by sitting out in the Carabao Cup. He's selected ahead of Philip Jorgensen today. A heap of injuries at centre-back for Maresca to contend with. Jorel Hato comes in at centre-back alongside Trevoh Chalobah. Andre Santos comes into the side in place of Cole Palmer, who will not return until after the international break. And that enforced change to the side sees Enzo Fernandez moved into the number 10 role between Esteval and Pedro Neto. João Pedro, who left Brighton in the summer after scoring 30 goals in 70 games over 2 years on the South Coast, faces up against his former club for the first time. Alejandro Garnacho once again is named on the Chelsea bench. Fabian Herzler makes one change from the side that started against Tottenham at the Amex last Saturday, but Verbruggen continues in the Brighton goal. It's the same back four that started a week ago, with Ferdi Karaoglu once again selected at left back, despite Maxime de Kuyper being available again. It's been a tough start to the season for Carlos Baleba, who is yet to find his best form and was substituted off at half-time in that draw against Tottenham. The one change to the side sees Diego Gomez come into the side. No surprise, seeing he scored 4 goals in the Carabao Cup in midweek. And just like last week, Jorginho Rutter leads the Brighton attack. Brian Gruder, the one omission from last week's side, drops down to the bench. So an intriguing game ahead of us here this afternoon, and Diego Gomez, well, he had his own private competition for goal of the season in midweek, Leon, and we'll be looking forward to seeing what he can do today. No doubt we'll be looking to get up and get close to Jorginho Rutter.
Yeah, that's it, absolutely. I mean, Brighton will have a lot of the ball, so they'll try and make sure they do what they can with it when they have the ball, but it's where they have that possession. They want to have it in Chelsea's final third, so those players that you're talking about can be as effective as possible.
Well, it's not a rivalry, but an edge has been evolving in recent years between these two clubs. A game which means a bit more to the 3,000 travelling Brighton supporters who have seen Chelsea raid their club over and over to take away some of their top talent. Over $250 million has been moved from southwest London to the south coast to bring the likes of João Pedro, Moise Caicedo, Marc Cucurella and Robert Sanchez the other way. All 4 of those players line up for Chelsea here this afternoon. So Brighton not making the start to the season that they would have wished. Chelsea have hit the buffers somewhat in the last few weeks. An intriguing looking game ahead of us here at Stamford Bridge, and Robert Sanchez starts again in the Premier League after that mistake early at Old Trafford last week. Enzo Maresca saying that he would have preferred for Manchester United to have taken an early lead in that game and been a goal down and had the rest of the game to work with 11 players instead of Robert Sanchez being dismissed so early. It was a game that got away from Chelsea so quickly.
A good bit of work going into a game of how you're going to tactically approach it, and that to be completely ruined within the first few minutes is hugely frustrating. I can understand the manager if he could go back to say to the goalkeeper Sanchez, just let him through. It's not in a goalkeeper's instinct, it's not in anybody's instinct to do that, but suddenly you're now faced for the, 87 minutes with 10 men, always a difficult task.
Here's Pedro Neto for Chelsea, who are looking to begin brightening. Enzo Fernandez sweeps in the cross, taken away by Kadioglu. Which changed the Chelsea captain into Esteval, because one of the 2 Chelsea players substituted off so early a week ago into João Pedro, taken off him by Van Hecker. Enzo Fernandez very quickly surrounded, but free kick given away, and a free kick which is very much within shooting range.
It is positive start from Chelsea, getting the ball forward quickly. A bit of possession on the edge of that Brighton penalty here. I think it probably just about was a foul. He just moves the ball quickly there. Enzo Fernandez. As I say, positive from Chelsea. Moving the ball swiftly, good crisp passing. And Brighton on the back foot.
Reece James taking a very real interest in this situation. As to is Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea with a couple of very talented exponents of these kind of situations. They've only led once in the Premier League so far this season. Chelsea scored the first goal in a game. That came here against Fulham. And of course, many would argue that that was a game in which they should have already been behind. A very controversial VAR intervention in that game. So will it be Enzo Fernandez or will it be Reece James? It will be Enzo Fernandez, and Verbruggen reaches out to his right. Save you would expect him to make, but an early test for the Brighton keeper.
Yeah, but a good save, good hit from Enzo. Makes the goalkeeper work. That's the important thing at this early stage of the game. Give the crowd something to cheer about.
In Chelsea blue today, taking on their former club. There's an edge and an extra bit of bite now when Chelsea take on Brighton. Both teams desperately looking for a victory to start moving back in the right direction. So let's take a look at the teams. Enzo Maresca makes two changes from the side that started and very quickly had to be reconfigured at Old Trafford 7 days ago. Robert Sanchez served his suspension for his red card in that game by sitting out in the Carabao Cup. He's selected ahead of Philip Jorgensen today. A heap of injuries at centre-back for Maresca to contend with. Joel Matto comes in as centre-back alongside Travis Chalobah. Andre Santos comes into the side in place of Cole Palmer, who will not return until after the international break. Force change to the side sees Enzo Fernandez moved into the number 10 role between Esteval and Pedro Neto. João Pedro, who left Brighton in the summer after scoring 30 goals in 70 games over 2 years on the South Coast, faces up against his former club for the first time. Alejandro Garnacho once again is named on the Chelsea bench. Fabian Herzler makes one change.